Greetings, everybody. Welcome to my walkthrough of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So I've played this game every which way there is to play it now, and I have come up with the best possible route and best possible order of things to give you guys the best overall gaming experience. First thing I should probably mention is if you haven't already done so, spend the extra $20 and purchase the downloadable content. Reason being is you get a lot for that money. There's going to be a ton of extra challenges. Not to mention you're going to get some pretty nifty gear pretty early off in the game that's really going to give you a boost. And just a lot more fun to the game. I mentioned the best possible route, especially early game. Right off the Great Plateau, which is the very first little area here, I like to go to the rainforest, the Faron region. Reason being, there's going to be a super suit, and it's going to give you high-level stealth. In addition, it's going to give you a boost on attack power of all bone-based weaponry. 80% boost. That's almost double. So I highly recommend that, folks. Get the downloadable content and follow me to the Faron region. Not to mention there's going to be plenty of cooking ingredients we're going to want there. More specifically, we're going to be getting ingredients to cook meals for extra heart containers and attack power. And those are going to be key, especially early game. Most Zelda games, they're going to give you, small amount of heart containers and limited stamina. I think Skyward Sword was the first Zelda game to introduce stamina. In this game, same concept as the piece of hearts. You have to gather so many of an item to get a heart container. Well, in this game, you're going to get spirit orbs. Works the same way. You collect 4 of those, and you can trade those in for a heart container, or you can choose a stamina vessel. And folks, you can see they only give you the 1 stamina wheel here. I highly recommend trading those in and completing your stamina wheels first. Now that might sound kind of counterintuitive. You might be thinking, well, there's only 3 heart containers there. Not to worry, folks. This game gives you unlimited fairies. You heard me correctly, unlimited fairies. That is until you complete one of the divine beasts out of the Zora's Domain region, but we'll get to that later on down the road. But for all intents and purposes, you will get unlimited fairies, so don't worry about only having the 3 heart containers. Not only that, on the route I'm going to take you, we will be getting more than enough cooking ingredients for those extra heart containers I mentioned. So all in all, folks, don't worry about the heart containers. There's plenty of ways to work around that. We'll be just fine getting all those items I discussed. Okay, so very first thing here on this main ledge, as soon as you come out of that Shrine of Resurrection there, walk around painfully slowly. Reason being, you see these beetles on these trees. You're going to want those beetles, folks. That is going to be the critter you're going to need for a attack power elixir. Unfortunately, if you come up here and you start running around, they're all going to fly off before you can even get close. You might also see some butterflies flying around like we do now. And unfortunately for me, as I see some birds on the ground over there, and that's going to be a problem, because when I spook the birds, those are going to in turn spook my beetles. So that's a real pity that those are on the ground at this point in my game. Okay, so for any insect, beetles, butterflies, any insect or critter really, you're going to have to walk around painfully slow if you want to gather your stuff. Okay, so I just lost 1 beetle, but it looks like I was able to keep a couple here. So normally you can get anywhere from 4 to 6 of these beetles right here in this little area. Like I said, unless you're unlucky, as I was, and there's going to be a bunch of wildlife, birds and squirrels of the such. Okay, so just go ahead and finish, running around this little main ledge here, collect whatever you can. Mainly you're just going to get a bunch of tree branches and mushrooms, which we're going to roast mushrooms and apples. And that's going to be our primary source of heart replenishment first thing here. Now I mentioned cooking. One major difference in this Zelda game versus past is before we had to run around and pick up hearts to replenish our health. In this game, there are no hearts to pick up. We're going to have to cook meals, cook food, and consume that food to replenish our life, our hearts.
Head for the point marked on the map near Sheikah Slate.
Something I'd like to point out here is the game's going to kind of tell you a certain way to do things, a certain order. I kind of do things out of order as compared to what they tell you to do, but there's good reasons for that. For one, they're going to tell you to go to this point on the map, the little flashing yellow thing that you see on my mini-map down there on the bottom right. We're not going to go there just yet. We're actually just going to kind of run around to all the structures that are right out in front of the cathedral, or Temple of Time, I think is what they call it. So I'm just going to bypass all this stuff, or try to skip as much as I can. But folks, do take the time to read everything, talk to everybody, watch every movie clip they play for you. I gotta give it to Nintendo, they really got the storyline of this game right. And they did an outstanding job of really going out of their way to immerse you into the storyline of this game. So to really enjoy the full impact of that storyline, take the time to talk to everybody, read everything, and watch everything. Okay, so the first bad guy you're going to come to here, what you're going to want to do is equip the clothing you got. Reason being is that gives you a defense level rating of 2. This way you don't die when you get smacked in the nugget by a tree branch. Okay, you see I lost a quarter heart there, not too big of a deal just yet. The red enemies, they don't hurt that bad. Now, of course, it's going to depend a little on what they're holding. You know, if they're holding a tree branch, it's not going to hurt a lot anyway. But there's a rank order of enemies in this game. And reds are going to be your easiest, and they're not going to hurt that much. The next rank is going to be blues. And they're going to hurt a little worse. They're going to be carrying better weaponry, stronger weapons. They're going to be harder to kill. And they're going to hurt you more if they hit you. Not only that, they tend to attack a little more frequently. Next, after blues, are going to be blackie. They're going to be these black-colored creatures with, like, grayish tattoos, I guess. And then after that is going to be silver. And the silver are the best of the best. Now, the silvers, something I should point out about them, is they don't automatically give you silvers in this game. You have to work for the silvers. That's something that seems to be a little confusing out there to a lot of gamers, is how do you get silver enemies in this game? Well, KO credit. Overall KOs. The more stuff you go out there and kill, the better off you'll be, and the faster you'll progress through those ranks, and you'll get your silver enemies. Silver enemies are important because not only are they going to give you more materials, but they're going to drop gemstones, which is another big difference in this Zelda game versus other Zelda games. Oh, something I want to point out about picking up these rocks, by the way. When you pick up, spam the A button, the pickup button when you do, and try to walk underneath a rock. By spamming the pickup button, if there's a critter under there, like you just saw I got a lizard, you'll scoop that lizard up before it has a chance to run away. By walking underneath the rock, if there's a rupee under there, you'll get your rupees. Unfortunately, if you just pick the rock up and then set it back down on top of the rupee will disappear forever. It's a glitch in the game. One complaint I do have about this game is they seem to have rushed the completion date, and there are a lot of glitches in the game. A lot of well-known glitches in the game. So as you play the game more and more, you'll start becoming more and more familiar with those glitches in the game. So yes, pick up a rock, spam the pickup button, walk underneath a rock, and that should ensure you get whatever's hiding under there for you. It's well worth your time and effort to pick up every rock in Hyrule. Reason being is you're going to get materials and rupees, but you're also going to be getting Koroks. which are these little forest creatures that will give you a seed in return for finding them. Why are those important? You need Karak seeds to expand your inventory. As you can see, our inventory is very limited. They only give you 8 weapon slots, and we don't even have bows or shields yet. But we'll get to that later on. Just make a mental note. Karak seeds are your friends. Okay, so I mentioned we're going to be following this little pathway here before we go to that point on the Sheikah Slate. And we're going to be going through all these little buildings. Oh yeah, also check all these decayed guardian things here for free monster parts. You saw me do that earlier, I just didn't mention it. So anyway, the reason being is there's lots of goodies here. Lots of goodies in these little ruined structures here. Weapons. This treasure chest here. It's going to have a pair of pants in there. And equipping that pair of pants will double your defense rating. We were at 2, we are now at 4. And I'm going to try to keep these treasures marked on the map for you as we go. And what I like to do is, when we do get a map, this will be a way, if you don't want to go through my entire walkthrough, you can just kind of skip ahead to my map video and get a snap view, an overshot, if you will, of every treasure chest or croc seed or loose weaponry or whatever have you, and then you can go exploring on your own. Okay, so this is the last of these mini ruined structures here. There's some goodies down in that lake, but we'll come back to that in a little bit here. For now, just search these broken down machines here by spamming that A button, that pickup button. And make sure you get all your free monster parts here. Reason that's important is when we go to upgrade our Sheikah Slate to give us better searching capabilities, as well as stasis, which is a superpower where you can stop time, which is very handy. But upgrading that Sheikah Slate will give you the ability to freeze bad guys in addition to stationary objects. Very, very useful. In addition, you'll also be able to upgrade your bombs so it doesn't take them so long to recharge. To do so, you're going to need Guardian parts. You're going to need 3 ancient screws, you're going to need 3 ancient cores, and 3 ancient shafts. Now the ancient shafts you won't get too many of, it's kind of like a rare item. One thing about breaking these pots, folks, is break every pot. Most Zelda games give you a little bit better bang for your buck when you break pots. In this one, you're going to break a ton of pots and not get anything. But when the pots do drop something, you're going to get something useful. Case in point is I just got quite a few arrows by breaking pots. Okay, got a statue. That's where we're going to trade those spirit orbs in for our heart container or stamina vessel. And once again, I highly recommend the stamina vessels first. Oh, little safety tip. Don't run yourself out of stamina if you're climbing a normal side wall. If you're climbing a ladder, it's okay. You won't fall off the ladder, you'll just run out of stamina. But if you're climbing a wall or a cliff wall or anything like that, and you run out of stamina, you'll just fall off the wall and probably kill yourself. So important safety tip. Alright folks, so I promised you some better weaponry right off the bat. We just got a bow that is almost triple the attack power of that Traveler's Bow there. We're also going to do the same with our swords. Right now we're up to, I think, 4 on our Boko Club there. We're going to find a loose soldier's broadsword. And I think that one's rated at 15. Old man memory, I could be a little off on that, but either way, it's almost triple what we have now, so I'll show you where that is here in just a moment. Alright, so that pretty much does it for the Temple of Time and all these little ruined buildings. At this point, we're going to go ahead and head toward that flashing point on... come on, Link. Flashing point on that Sheikah Slate there. And just for map reference, that's where we're heading at this point. And I forgot to mark that treasure chest there. My bad! Okay, so yeah, you can kind of creep around and collect all these insects as you see them, you know, butterflies. We're going to get that, I think it's called the Phantom Ganon armor set. It's going to be high-level stealth, and it's going to be bone attack power up, which I think I mentioned. And it's also going to be a disguise. At nighttime, these little bony creatures pop up, and they're quite annoying, but with that disguised benefit, you're not going to have to worry about them. They'll just kind of come up to you, sniff around, and more or less leave you alone. Now, if you just saw that really cool feature where you jump off a ledge and the game slows way down and you can really take your time and target in, all you gotta do is jump off a ledge, take out that bow and arrow midair, but as you can see, that stamina wheel runs out awful fast. Just another reason I recommend getting that stamina first, for that mid-aerial combat, time in the air with your bow and arrow. Okay, as we're getting closer to that yellow flashing spot, you're going to see a couple of eggheads up here with bows and arrows. We're going to want to get their attention and let them start shooting at us. Reason being is they're going to shoot arrows, and yeah, they might hit you a time or two, but they're only going to take about a quarter heart at a time, so don't really worry about it. That's why we roasted up those ingredients over that open fire. If you start getting low on your hearts, just go ahead and eat some roasted vegetables. So anyway, I'm just going to kind of run around here for a minute, let them fire arrows randomly. I'm going to collect as many as they'll allow. Unfortunately, they're going to kind of cut us off after a certain number of them get lobbed at us here. There will be a last call. I think you can get about 15 or so by doing this. I'm not going to spend all day doing this because I know you're probably getting annoyed watching me do this, so I'm just going to go ahead and move along here. I mentioned score before. Try to get those headshots in when you can. The game will talk about score, but it doesn't really tell you why. The reason you want that score to be as high as possible is because that overall score, that overall KO credit, or whatever you want to call it, that's your silver enemy counter, basically. So getting those headshots, double damage, double score, it's just a good all-around practice to be in. Alright. One other thing I'd like to mention is always take the time to sort your inventory. You push the Y button one way, it sorts one way. You push it again, it sorts another way, but if you have multiple of the same type of weapons, say Boko clubs here, I have 4 of them, the last one in order is going to be the one with use on it, or damage. So that's important to keep your inventory sorted, because you always want to start with a weapon that you've already been using. That way when it breaks, you can move on to the next fresh weapon. You do not want to put a little bit of wear and tear on all your weapons all at once, and then the next thing you know, you're in a big firefight, and they're all breaking on you because you didn't keep your inventory sorted. Alright folks, we have arrived at our tower. I'm going to go ahead and break the video here. When we come back, we're going to be heading to our first shrine. A lot of fun to be had. Thanks for sticking around, and do bear in mind there's a lot more to go over. This game is literally loaded with stuff to do, and your head is going to be spinning. But stick with me folks, I won't steer you wrong. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys back on the next round.